Uh, Thank you for having me once more, and thank viewers and our listeners. Well, it is important that we come here. I will give the education. It is also important that our followers listen and follow for their own safety. This is not an health issue, which is personal. And so, if we want us to start with drugs, that's good. What are drugs? And why drugs are dangerous chemicals, but they don't. They are crops found in crops that you grow. I'm sure most of us have heard about the Colombian drug dealers. The ones that you grow that are supposed to be regulated, and they are used by you individuals, which are so harmful to your own health. Drugs are essentially used by because they are the vibrant people. But why are they doing this? The drugs are virtually very expensive. They're not things that you pick around the corner. They're expensive. And unemployed youth, where they still get money to go buy cocaine, where they still get money to buy a car drug. It starts from somewhere. When we were in private, it was impossible to talk about seeing a cigarette in school. They start with the education, the basic info, through primary school to adulthood. And so once it is beyond that level, something is wrong with the society. Why are you using the drugs? And where are these drugs coming from? The drug itself has become a big industry. I say, for example, this grown marijuana is grown as a plant, as a vegetable. It can be grown anywhere. It is grown west there. You find it in trucks being loaded to Yaoundé because there's a market for it. And so, regulate this. Why are people growing it? Because it is fetching the money. So why should people resort to grass instead of good cocoa, good coffee, instead of potatoes and other things that you can fetch money out of it? It's used to take it. Because it makes you think you believe like a bull, break into a house and think that nobody will catch you. You can catch a woman in the street, you rape her, and nobody will see you. But it makes you high only for a moment. At the end of the day, you'll be held accountable. But why are they doing this? I say again, it is because the community has, the government of the Republic of Cameroon has failed woefully. Because for you to stop the drug, you must know how to manage the drug that are already there. If the drugs are already in the market, boys are being caught left and right, girls are being caught left and right with the drugs. They are already grown up. That's why they are using it. That's why they are hiding in the unused houses. What you do with the drugs, you cash from them. In summary, the government indirectly encourages the use of drugs. Why? Because you see all this catching of drugs, they will say they broke into a drugstore here. You don't popularly see where these drugs are destroyed. By law, they are supposed to be destroyed officially. So if people see the need for it, it's not enough for you to go to prison. But what happens is that when drugs cases, they are not destroyed. They turn up in the hands of the policemen, of the gendarmes, who themselves become drug dealers by selling the unwanted things to the public. And so that it is. It's directly or indirectly encouraging the use of drugs. If you don't want children to use drugs, you must make them useful.
Useful.
If you don't want, they have to be useful in their own lives. And so, for example, a child must see a need. If you want them to be farmers, you must provide the way that they will farm. A drug can be grown even in your garden as a crop. We have long, this is 2024. We have passed the age where you ask your son, your girl, your daughter to go become a farmer. Grandfather did, that her grandmother was doing. No, they are not going to be bending down with a hoe and digging the ground. The farm, if you want the young people to farm, you must try to modernize the farming. That will encourage it. No child, not me. I'm not going to farm like my grandfather was doing. I don't have the power to class and do that. And so if the government has ignored the youth, left them to their own risk, they're going to do drugs. Again, drugs are actually expensive. They take a lot of money. And so those who have found themselves in that trade have to remain there. But it's a dangerous health habit. It's a hazard in your own health. I'm not sure that any drug users survive for long unless you stop. They take a toll on your health and you die. Again, it is the responsibility of government to stop the use of drugs by any the tools to do it. It is a
Obviously.
responsibility. They must do it. And again, Amazonia should exist in Amazonia. It will not.
Okay.
But inherit as we move on. And as we inherit that bad gene, what I can do privately and publicly is that sure that we shall stop it going forward. We shall manage what is already there. We will stop it, as I've always said. We will pick the spoils and move on and be a better community. We are in the wrong place. There were no drugs in Southern California. There were no drugs in Amazonia. There was nothing like that there. And so we have been in this for 50, 60, 70 years. We must end it. We must rebuild our lives of our youth, free of drugs. It will be difficult, but we must do it. Over to
All
you.
right. Very difficult, but we just have to find a way to do that. Now, Commander Elvis, as a young person, as a young man, yes, I have to put it that way, as a younger man, as compared to Barrister Mbeseha here, can you say that it's quite difficult for youth to stay out of drugs from probably what you know, or you think that is just a bad habit that must be curbed?
Oh, thank you very much, Onye. Thank you, Senior Barrister, for that wonderful explanation. I would have to say, and I totally agree with Barrister on, first of all, where those drugs are coming from and what the intent is. As you know, La Republique is solely responsible for bringing these kind of drugs into Amazonia. There is a common one right now. They actually call that Caillou. From the name itself, you can already hear it's a French name. And from what I learned, it's actually made of body parts. Those are dead people, bones that have been grounded to make these drugs. These people bring all these illegal things. I would say, like as Bessa said, I would not like to say they use the word government. These are uh, how can we put it even? These are invaders in our land, so we cannot even identify them as a government. They are coming into our land, the occupiers, and they're trying to uh, brainwash our people. The drugs are there for a specific reason, which is basically to help uh, change their mental setting so they can think differently. So they would introduce these just like they do with alcohol, those Brazilian products in our land, so that our people can get their minds off the reality, which is them
Oh,
extorting from our people. And that is a business that they bring into Amazonia knowingly. Also, I was very happy to hear that the ASA are in full implementation of uh, those who abuse these drugs.
yes.
As code of conduct, there is no tolerance for any drug or alcohol consumption for our Amazonian State Army. That is on their code of conduct, and they know that. Um, Members have been punished in several occasions who abuse these privileges. Of course, we have to teach them to get their better understanding so they can understand the consequences of these things. But again, when you understand that it is a tactic by La Republique to actually damage our people mentally for a long time to come, then we have to do everything it takes to make sure that we stay away from these kind of habits. So
You
as a
know,
young man,
yeah.
I have never been involved in smoking or drinking. So I'm
Okay.
not a fan of either one, and I would never encourage anybody to go that route. Just for the obvious reasons, other
Yes.
than my fear for God.
All right. So now talking about the angle you came from is an angle that we didn't even think of immediately. Probably that is why for our next report, dumping hospital used materials in a public dump site where in a residential area, let's put it that way, as clearly as that, where market women would pass through, where children would pass through. Barrister Mbeseha, do you agree with Commander Elvis that all of these are intentional and a ploy to, make Ambazonians not so useful, just a way of taking over the lands, the properties, and everything that Ambazonians own?
Well, I agree with Commander perfectly, but you see, the problem is more than that. The problem to me is not just the dumping of waste there. The problem is total lack of governance. There's no governance in the so-called Republic of Cameroon that will form part today. Absolutely none. You and me, those of us who live in the Western world. See, what is garbage? Garbage is the unwanted, the unneeded remains of what you have. Even the food you eat in the house. It becomes garbage, we no longer need it. There's not one style of garbage. You find those broken bottles, you have tins, you have plastic cups and bottles, everything there. There are different categories of waste, which is not managed. It can only be managed by regulation. Those of us who live in the Western world, if you live in an apartment area or a residential area, you find at least a number of things standing there. A place where you put in broken bottles. They even in my own place, they even say white bottle, green, red bottles. You have a place where you put in plastic containers.
Yeah.
You have a place where you put in paper on which you write, because that's become waste if you want to throw it. You have a place where you put in food, which is disposable. Somebody has taken the pains to do this. Somebody has taken the pains to educate the people that you don't put those things everywhere. This is totally absent on dispensation, which is totally contrary to what in Southern Cameroon. Let us start with the garbage in front of the hospitals, where you find this hospital, you find all what you have there, medically used garbage, you call it.
Not in
If you
front
go
of
to
the
a hospital,
hospital. It wasn't found in
yeah, if you
front
go
of the
into the hospital,
hospital. It was found in the dump
yes,
site in Aziri Church Junction.
yes, but it was also found at the hospital. I was trying to come to that. The one at the Aziri, how do you find hospital needles there? I was trying to say that if you go into any of our hospitals, anyone, be it in Bamenda, Kumba, Manfe, wherever, even Yaoundé, you're not going to find where they put disposable needles. It's not enough to put it there. They must be taken to a particular place to be disposed of there. They don't have it. How do they end up where they are in Aziri or in Fiango Kumba or in Terekonandu, wherever it is? How did they find themselves there? It is lack of governance. That's what I was trying to drive to. In
Oh,
Southern Cameroon before
obviously.
1961, did we manage these things? Yes. That is part of health that people need to know. Even for your own house, you need to know that with a broken bottle, it could hurt you, it will hurt your own child, it will hurt whoever in your own house. We had that system in place. Health education, which was managed officially by what we call sanitary inspectors, sanitarians who were trained for the job. They were not government workers at the federal level. in Boya. No. Sanitary inspectors who were trained were the employees of the local councils. 50s, most of us used to do, we go to latrine, where did you go to? You don't enter into the bush and do that. I remember when we grew up, it took time for the sanitary inspector to teach people how to make latrine. People made pit latrine. They were forced to do it. I became practice. Where are these sanitary inspectors? Where the sanitary department? Does it still exist, even in the Ministry of Health? It is not there. My uncle was a sanitary inspector. That post was simply scrapped when we came to purportedly join this people. And this man was withdrawn from the field where he was doing the job to the headquarters in Victoria. So that's what is important for the people. Waste. As I said, waste is what you don't want. You cannot just manage it in Aziri. People who come and dump that thing in Aziri water, in that square, they are families. They are individuals who carry things from their houses and dump it there. Hopefully somebody will carry it. If they had the education trained by the sanitary inspectors, they would have known that you don't need to do it because it's your own health. It is not the health of the governor. It is not the health of the teacher. It is not the health of the chief. It is your own health which is at stake.
And it's amazing you're doing this teaching now, Barrister Mbeseha, because let's assume it's not the hospital staff. Let's assume probably individuals who own pharmacies or something who are doing this. They would learn by your teaching, by Undaunted today, that such acts is not a healthy one. Go ahead, please.
Yes, because for example, you go there, you find condoms lying there. Use of condoms is allowed. But if condoms are properly used, the people will instruct you how to use the condom, how to fit it, how to remove it, where to throw it. You don't remove your condom and throw it in the street. Even though you were probably right to use it, I'm there about the legal use of those, which are so common. There are these local, they call patent medicine dealers, who are illegal. They are not supposed to be doing that. You go around injecting people in the cartier, malaria medicine, whatever nonsense, and they dump it there. Why? Because there's no regulation. There's nobody telling you not even to do the act, talk less of telling you where to dispose of the unwanted material. I don't want to waste my time on the global, larger context of garbage disposal, which I've addressed before. But I'm trying to let us focus essentially what is important on you and me, on your father and my mother, back in the village, what they need to know about garbage disposal. For now that we speak, thinking that Yaoundé will through their Hasakam, be able to pick all the dead in so in Kumba, in Manfe, it's a lie. It will do another 10 years, they will not do it. So what we can do, keep ourselves safe. If the people had learned that some of the things that you take there and go and throw there, it gets rotten and smells and produces fly, could be used in your own house, could be transformed into manure where you grow vegetables, have that heap of smelling dirt. If the government had introduced research, you will not have broken bottles lying there. Everywhere that a child jumps on it is wounded, a broken bottle wounds you, you are susceptible to having tetanus, which kills within hours. And so that is where we find ourselves in this rotten regime. Is it a trap set or not? Certainly a trap. But looking at what is happening in the whole Cameroon, called Cameroon, that is the replica of, you don't need to talk about Douala or Yaoundé, but we're addressing ambassador and we have a better side, we have a better future to get out of this nonsense. The garbage that is found is not up to 100th of what is found in Rompon in Douala, where their people are all living there. And so why should we continue in this dilemma, in this terrible thing that we have been forced into? And so we get into a lawless community, a place that purports to have a government which is 200, 500% corrupt, which is 400, 1,000% incompetent. It's not worth being it. I just gave the issue of sanitary inspectors to
Okay.
alert us that we have better days ahead. Garbage management must be improved, must be done. They must be taught, our people must be taught how to do it. And they do it. And the rest, if that work cannot be done, they cannot do recycling. But they can at least put the bottles together. Company come and pick it. They can at least put the plastic bottles together so the recycling company can pick it up there. They should just learn this. And if I can cue on this and end it here, when I was in Yaoundé in the early 80s, something was
Okay.
happening. There was a place they called Karikoguli. They had a dumpster there where you're supposed to go and dump your garbage. And what happened was that instead of putting the waste in the dumpster, put down. One day we started with drinking, but you come and dump this thing in the ground instead of putting it in the dumpster. Then what an explanation which is unusual. What was the explanation? They told us, you see, when you dump it in the dumpster, it is wasted. But if you throw it down, the pigs that they live to roam around come and feed there, and they sell the pigs later on. So you see how waste has become an industrial and illegal act. This was in the heart of the and so government has left this to the for the exploit of the criminals. They steal your purse, you find it in the dumpster, thrown there. And so again, we must extricate ourselves from this bullshit of anything that has to do with our people to Cameroon. A country that has no government, a country that has no institutions, functional institutions. I mean, it's not to say it's not enough to say you have a ministry of health when the ministry of health has failed to perform the duties of the ministry of health. It's not enough to say you have a ministry of education when they have failed, when the schools don't exist, though created by them on paper. You go there, you don't find any school there. It's not a school. When the government has created it and there's no teacher put there, why create a school if you not employ teachers to put there?
To teach. Okay.
So what we have, that's what I call non-functional institutions, worthless ministries. Because
Okay.
if you the road, that is how they are. Enough to have a ministry of defense, where the soldiers go there to steal goods from the cartier, rape women in the cartier, and there's no sanction. And so it is a country which is worthless. It is a country that is lawless. It is a country to which we never have had to be associated with. And that is the goal of our fight. We will get out of it. We will pick the spoils and move on. Over to you.
Yes, Commander Elvis, are you amazed and shocked as we are? Let's get your thoughts, please.
Yeah, thank you again, Onye, for that question. Well, I am not shocked at anything that Little Greek throws at us. For one, I know that they have no vested interest in Amazonia other than extracting our resources. Um, if you look at their political setup, the colonial administrators, they have their so-called SDOs and the DOs, whose principal responsibility is to make sure that the tax from our taxpayers go to swindled back to La Republique
Okay.
and possibly sent to France. So the entire setup is geared at actually extorting from Amazonia. So of course it doesn't baffle me that they would have no interest in us having safe roads, having safe hospitals. They cannot invest in that, and that is why we as Amazonians have stood up to all these forms of colonial extortion, and we have said enough is enough.
Yeah.
We are calling on all Amazonian people. This is a job that is bigger than one man, and we need all hands on board. We had a report last week when I was on the show that also spoke about. We also spoke about the bad road conditions.
Yes.
If you look at that trend, you will see that almost everything is actually depreciating in Amazonia as it used to be. I think Barrett Mbeseha has a better understanding of the standards that Ambazonia held. That even some developed nations today could not compete with us. But within the years that we've, had these, how can I call it, come with stay kind of relationship with La Republique, they have succeeded in extracting, sucking up all that sugar that we had from our body, and they're leaving us with a skeleton. We're telling ourselves that we can rebuild, and we do not need them in our territory. It's very difficult to do with them in our territory because when you dig yourself out of the hole, they dig the hole even deeper for you to go back into because that's what they're used to. We would rebuild our infrastructure. We would make sure that our roads are good. We would make sure that there are dumpsters, that you dump waste where it's supposed to be dumped. We'll make sure that you can also walk around in a safe environment. These are all things that like we don't care about. All these drug laws running around. That is their hope that in the long term they will be able to infiltrate our society, and we would never think of all these bad things that are happening to us. So
Yeah.
thank you again for that educative lessons, and I think our people need to be aware and see the vision of Ambazonia, where we were and where we're going, and know that this is for the betterment of everybody.